Oh man, there's so many good restaurants down here now. Okay, $3.95 Class Avenue. Yo, this is the one. My grandpa owned this building for like 40 years. Now it's worth $5 million. Why did they sell it?
White flight ain't right. I could be living in Prospect Heights. I'd be the single owner of a brownstone tonight if it hadn't have been for white flight. My grandpa's father, Gunter, came from Germany on a steamer ship in 1922. He took $12,000 that he made in bootleg ivory and he bought a place on Classen Avenue. He opened up a storefront that sold organ shoes, which every Brooklyn organist would wear. My grandpa Herman worked there from a very young age, and he very proudly polished every pair. But certain kinds of people couldn't go in there. White flight ain't right. I could be living in Brooklyn Heights. I'd have a giant mansion by the highway tonight if it hadn't have been for white flight. By 58, the Classen place was Herman's house, 'cause Gunter died from swelling of the glands. But in the early 60s, down on Lexington and Quincy, there were people who were looking rather tan. Now Herman was afraid of undesirables, but he didn't want to leave the folks he knew. So imagine his delight when the realtor mentioned all his friends and neighbors, they were leaving too. And so he closed the shop and sold the property and headed for a town up by the Tappan Zee. The cops there did their very best to guarantee he'd only see the kind of folks he liked to see. White flight ain't right. Could be living up in Crown Heights. I'd never sign another fucking lease in my life if it hadn't have been for white flight. Go Vitor! And so great-grandpa's house on Classen Avenue was assumed to be in awful disarray. But it was well maintained by a family of West Indians who just only last September moved away. I want to buy in Brooklyn 'cause I'm latently artistic and I think this place would fit me to a T. But I spoke with a realtor with some very fancy headwear and he said this place is not the place for me. I said, but there's a chance I can afford your fee. He said my credit has a troubling history. So I looked at his wife and asked, do you agree? But I forgot she's not supposed to talk to me. When I tried to shake her hand, she ran away, wearing heavy layers on a summer's day. She can only rock a few specific looks, and she's not allowed to look at college books. Probably it's kind of hard to be alive when you must pretend it's 1645, and your hair is not allowed to be your hair, and you have to wear 10 pairs of underwear. Okay, I admit that I made that one up, which isn't really fair 'cause she's been through enough. Crushed beneath the weight of prehistoric tomes, and this guy who says I can't afford my home. But to tell the truth, that isn't news to me. I probably couldn't buy it in the 70s. White flight ain't right. This is history's greatest slight. I'd be a stupid townie with a golden goose. I place I choose, or just sell it for the fortune that is my birthright. If it hadn't have been for white flight,